I want to tell you about a man who's said to be the Hamas leader who's central to this war and the release of hostages. He's also a key target for Israel.
Following Hamas's surprise attack on Israel, the quest to uncover the masterminds behind this bold move has taken center stage. The top tiers of the powerful Palestinian force in control of Gaza are veiled in secrecy. Some key figures within the group prefer to work in the shadows, while others have become skilled at evading Israel's continuous efforts to neutralize them. They are mysterious, sly, and with a knack for staying one step ahead. Now, let's shed light on some of the most dangerous soldiers leading Hamas. Marwan Issa, the Shadow Man. Marwan Issa's journey towards becoming a key figure in the Palestinian resistance began in the early years of his life. Born in 1965 in the Palestinian refugee camp of Al Bureij, located in the central Gaza Strip, Marwan grew up with a deep-rooted desire to return to the village from which his family was forcibly displaced during the Nakba in 1948. In his youth, Marwan found himself drawn to the ideals and principles of the Muslim Brotherhood. He actively participated in the organization's advocacy, social, and organizational activities. Marwan's strong structure and determination set him apart from his peers during this time. His exceptional qualities were not limited to his involvement with the Muslim Brotherhood. He also displayed remarkable talent on the basketball court, earning him the nickname Palestine Commando. His skills as a player caught the attention of many, and he had the opportunity to showcase his abilities within the Al Bureij Services Club team, embarking on tours and tournaments across different courts. However, Marwan's promising sports career was abruptly halted when he was arrested by the Israeli occupation forces in 1987. The charges against him include joining Hamas, the Palestinian political and military organization. This arrest marked the beginning of a tumultuous period in Marwan's life. His organizational activity within the ranks of Hamas had caught the attention of the Israeli authorities. They saw him as a threat to their control and sought to suppress his efforts. For 5 long years, Marwan endured the hardships of imprisonment, separated from his family and the world outside. During his time in detention, Marwan's resolve only grew stronger. The experience shaped his thinking and commitment to his cause. In 1993, after 5 years of captivity, Marwan was finally released from Israeli prison. However, his freedom was short-lived, as he was once again arrested, this time by the Palestinian Authority in 1997. Marwan's dedication to the Palestinian cause had made him a target not only for the Israeli occupation forces, but also for those who sought to maintain control within the Palestinian territories. His second arrest by the Palestinian Authority showed how complicated and divided Palestinian politics were. He stayed in jail until the start of the Al-Aqsa Intifada in 2000, a time when Palestinians strongly resisted Israeli occupation. The Al-Aqsa Intifada marked a turning point in Marwan's life. With the renewed wave of resistance, he saw an opportunity to actively contribute to the defense of Palestinian land and the fight for liberation. Upon his release, Marwan redirected his path, leaving behind his sports career and carving a new one dedicated to the duty of defending the Palestinian territory. At the age of 19, Marwan joined the Al-Qassam Brigades, the military wing of Hamas. His entry into the movement was facilitated by Ibrahim al-Muqaddam, a figure with whom he studied weekly in the Great Mosque inside the Al Bureij camp. Al-Muqaddam recognized the exceptional qualities in Marwan that set him apart from his peers, and it was through this connection that Marwan found his place within the Al-Qassam Brigades. His involvement in the organization's activities and operations increased, and he soon became one of the key decision-makers behind the Al-Qassam Brigade's operations and battles. Whether independently or in consultation with Yahya Sinwar, the leader of the movement in Gaza, Marwan played a crucial role in shaping the direction of the resistance. During this period, Marwan was part of a significant batch of operatives who participated in a series of martyrdom operations in 1996. These operations were carried out in retaliation for the assassination of the engineer Yahya Ayyash, a prominent figure within the resistance movement. Marwan, along with other prominent members of Hamas, including Mohammed Deif and Hassan Salameh, played a vital role in planning and executing these operations. The Israeli occupation forces recognized Marwan's significance within the resistance movement and the threat he posed to their control. He was arrested once again, this time for 4 years. However, his release came following the outbreak of the Al-Aqsa Intifada in 2000, a period of heightened resistance and struggle. Marwan's release from Palestinian Authority prisons marked a turning point in his military career. He played a pivotal role in transforming the Al-Qassam Brigades from semi-military cells into a structured organization with a clear military hierarchy. Under his guidance, the brigades evolved, with battalions, units, and brigades established to enhance their effectiveness effectiveness and coordination. Marwan's important role wasn't well known until September 2005. Just before Israel withdrew from Gaza, the Al-Qassam brigades released a bulletin called The Dawn of Victory. It revealed interviews with Qassam commanders, where Marwan Issa was mentioned as in charge of settlement operations, showing his role in planning and carrying out attacks on Israeli settlements. Marwan's strategic brilliance and meticulous planning were evident in these operations. The incursions required extensive effort, hard training, and continuous preparation. They often involved weeks of monitoring and surveillance before the collected intelligence was sent to the General Command for detailed analysis. A committee would then study the possibility of implementing the operation, aiming to achieve the greatest possible success with the least possible losses. During the Al-Aqsa Intifada, Marwan played a crucial role in organizing the Al-Qassam brigades and took over responsibilities after the assassination of Adnan al-Ghul in 2004. He led efforts for local industrialization to support resistance through various means. Because of his significant role, Israel repeatedly tried to eliminate Marwan, even attempting an assassination during a 2006 meeting. Despite injuries, he survived. Marwan's family also faced Israeli attacks, with his home destroyed twice during the 2014 and 2021 Gaza offensives. His brother Wael lost his life in one of these attacks. Furthermore, the blockade imposed on the Gaza Strip since 2007 had devastating consequences for Marwan's family. His 9-year-old son, Baraa, suffered from kidney failure, but due to travel restrictions, he was unable to receive the necessary treatment outside of Gaza. Baraa's tragic death added to the growing list of casualties resulting from the blockade. Marwan's face stayed hidden until 2011, when he showed up in a group photo celebrating the release of prisoners, including Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. The photo featured important figures like Khaled Mashal, Saleh al-Aruri, and Ahmad al-Jabari. Israel said the person in the middle of the photo was Marwan Issa, confirming his important role in the resistance movement. Marwan's strategies and methodologies were evident from the Shajil Stone in 2012 to the Al-Aqsa flood in 2023. These battles demonstrated the strength of the ground, intelligence, technical forces, and organized and tight planning. As the shadow man and right-hand man of Mohammed Deif, he continues to play a crucial role in the ongoing struggle for Palestinian liberation. Khaled Mashal, the Hamas leader in exile. Khaled Mashal's journey began on May 28, 1956 in Silwad, a town located in the Jordanian-occupied West Bank. Growing up in a Palestinian family, Mashal was deeply influenced by the political climate and the ongoing struggle for Palestinian rights. As he grew older, he became increasingly involved in political activism, seeking a way to make a difference. It was during this time that Mashal's path crossed with Hamas. Recognizing the need for a unified resistance against the Israeli occupation, Mashal joined the ranks of Hamas and quickly rose through the ranks. In 1987, Mashal became the leader of the Kuwaiti branch of Hamas, a position that would shape the course of his life. Under his guidance, the organization gained momentum, attracting Palestinian support and garnering attention on the international stage. He was known as the leader in exile because he stayed in Kuwait and Jordan during the early years of his involvement in the organization. Later, he was exiled in Jordan and then moved to Syria. A similar situation occurred in Syria in 2012, leading to his move to Qatar. Mashal's rise to prominence within Hamas was not without its challenges. The Israeli government took drastic measures to suppress the organization. In 2004, they assassinated Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, the spiritual leader and founder of Hamas. In the aftermath of Yassin's assassination, Mashal emerged as the recognized head of Hamas. His ability to navigate the political landscape and his commitment to the Palestinian cause made him a natural choice to lead the organization. Under Mashal's leadership, Hamas experienced both triumphs and setbacks. In 2006, the organization won a significant victory in the Palestinian legislative election, winning most seats. This success was a testament to the support and trust the Palestinian people had placed in Mashal and his vision for their future. However, the road to achieving their goals was not without obstacles. The Israeli government, along with the international community, labeled Hamas as a terrorist organization, imposing sanctions and restrictions that hindered their progress. Throughout his tenure as the leader of Hamas, Mashal worked to bring attention to the plight of Palestinians and to rally support for their cause. He traveled extensively, meeting with world leaders and advocating for the rights of his people. His charisma and ability to articulate the Palestinian narrative made him a respected figure on the global stage. Mashal's involvement with Hamas made him a polarizing figure. While some view him as a hero and a symbol of resistance, others criticize him for his militant tactics and refusal to recognize the state of Israel. One of the most significant moments came in 2007 when Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip. This move further intensified the conflict between Hamas and the Israeli government. It led to a blockade that severely impacted the lives of Palestinians living in the region. Mashal was faced with the difficult task of navigating this crisis and finding ways to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. During this time, Mashal also faced personal threats to his life. In 1997, the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad attempted to assassinate him in Amman, Jordan. Agents posing as Canadian tourists injected him with a lethal toxin, but the operation was foiled when the agents were captured. In 2011, Mashal made a historic visit to the Gaza Strip, marking his first time setting foot in the region. The visit was seen as a symbolic gesture of unity and solidarity with the people of Gaza. However, Mashal's leadership has its fair share of controversy. He faced accusations of corruption and mismanagement within Hamas, with some critics questioning his ability to effectively lead the organization. These allegations, while not proven, added another layer of complexity to his leadership and the perception of Hamas as a whole. In 2017, after years of leading Hamas, Mashal announced that he would be stepping down as chairman. This decision marked the end of an era and signaled a new chapter for the organization. While Khaled Mashal was known for his role as the leader of Hamas, he also held a vision for peace with Israel. He believed in a solution that would bring an end to the conflict based on the principles of justice and equality. Mashal's vision for peace was rooted in the belief that the Zionist occupation must come to an end. He advocated for the liberation of the land and holy places, reclamation of Palestinian rights, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. Central to his vision was the right of return for Palestinian refugees, allowing them to reclaim their homes and properties. However, the Israeli government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, took a hardline stance against Hamas and rejected the idea of negotiating with the organization. This created a significant obstacle for Mashal and hindered any progress towards a peaceful resolution. In his pursuit of peace, Mashal faced opposition not only from the Israeli government but also from factions within Hamas itself. Some members of the organization believed that armed resistance was the only way to achieve their goals. They saw Mashal's diplomatic approach as a betrayal of their cause. Yahya Sinwar, leader of the Gaza Strip. Sinwar, born in 1962, grew up in the challenging times of the Middle East. His early life was in the Khan Yunis refugee camp. The Gaza Strip, where he lived, was under Egyptian rule at the time. His family, like many, sought refuge there after the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Sinwar's education journey began at Khan Yunis Secondary School for Boys, and he later attended the Islamic University of Gaza, where he studied Arabic studies. Despite the difficult circumstances, he earned a bachelor's degree. As a teenager, he joined the ranks of Hamas. Sinwar quickly distinguished himself within Hamas, displaying remarkable intelligence and strategic thinking. His ability to analyze complex situations and devise effective plans caught the attention of his superiors. It wasn't long before Sinwar's reputation spread beyond the confines of the organization. He was later imprisoned by an Israeli military tribunal for multiple murders, but used his time in prison to study Hebrew. Sinwar showed a deep understanding of Israeli figures and politics, surprising security experts with his insight. Initially, Israel thought Sinwar was a dangerous extremist who might be open to negotiation. Sinwar seemed pragmatic and focused on governing Gaza, diverting attention from Hamas's goal of destroying Israel. However, when he orchestrated the October 7th attacks, causing significant Israeli casualties, he became Israel's most wanted. Despite dealing with him for almost 40 years, Israel failed to fully understand Sinwar, viewing him as negotiable rather than a committed extremist. His deceptive abilities marked a major intelligence failure for Israel. Sinwar became influential in Hamas, starting in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. He played a key role in establishing the Qassam Brigades, the group's military wing, and leading the Majid Force, its internal security force. Due to his involvement, he earned the nickname the Butcher of Khan Yunis. Sinwar was in prison for 22 years, but still managed to climb the ranks within Hamas. He eventually became the leader of the entire Gaza Strip for the group in 2017. His release in 2011 was part of a large-scale exchange where over 1,000 Palestinians were traded for a single Israeli soldier. Under Sinwar's leadership, Hamas used tactics like border protests, incendiary balloons, and rocket attacks. While he appeared pragmatic, his motives for the October 7th attacks are unclear. Some think he was motivated by ego and a mission, considering him capable of sacrificing lives for his goals. In 2021, there were signs of internal challenges for Sinwar within Hamas, as seen in a runoff ballot during their internal elections. However, Israel mistakenly believed that Sinwar-led Hamas was not interested in war and was inclined toward broader agreements. This assessment turned out to be wrong, as Hamas later carried out a well-planned attack that took over a year to prepare. Sinwar's apparent pragmatism was a cover-up to mislead Israel. The recent attack, leading to Israel's current effort to destroy Hamas, highlights the result of this intelligence failure. While Gaza is facing a significant Israeli offensive, Sinwar's complicated character and the uncertain fate of the region show the challenges in understanding and predicting actions in the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. Sinwar's past suggests he's capable of planning such attacks. In 1985, he co-founded an organization focused on identifying collaborators with Israel. This organization later became the de facto police of Hamas by 1987. weapon. In 1988, Sinwar took part in violent actions, including kidnapping and killing 2 Israeli soldiers and murdering 4 Palestinians suspected of collaborating with Israel. He confessed to these acts during questioning, describing how 2 victims were strangled. 1 was accidentally killed during interrogation, and the 4th was shot during an abduction attempt. Sinwar led investigators to where the bodies were buried. In 1989, he got 4 life sentences for these crimes. Despite facing imprisonment and health challenges, Sinwar showed resilience. He underwent a life-saving operation by Israeli doctors in 2008 while serving his sentence for multiple murders. After his release in 2011, Sinwar gained more influence within Hamas. In 2015, he was reportedly involved in the torture and execution of Hamas commander Mahmoud Ishtiwi on charges of embezzlement and homosexuality. In 2017, Yahya Sinwar made some crucial decisions after succeeding Ismail Haniyeh. Unlike past leaders, he opposed sharing power with the Palestinian Authority and made decisions independently in Gaza. During his leadership, he rejected making peace with Israel, called for capturing more Israeli soldiers, and took control of important choices in Gaza. In the 2023 Israel-Hamas war, after 3 weeks of conflict, Sinwar proposed exchanging all Palestinian prisoners in Israeli confinement for the release of all hostages taken during the conflict. Ismail Haniyeh, the political leader. In the streets of the Al-Shati refugee camp, a young Ismail Haniyeh found himself drawn to a cause that would shape his destiny. Born in 1962, Haniyeh grew up amid the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Against this backdrop, he embarked on a journey that would lead him to become a key figure in the Palestinian resistance movement. Haniyeh's passion for his people's plight grew stronger. It was during this time that he first became involved with Hamas. Haniyeh's leadership qualities led him to the forefront of the Student Council, representing the Muslim Brotherhood. But Haniyeh's involvement with Hamas went beyond the confines of the university campus. He was not content with merely being a student leader. He wanted to make a tangible difference in the lives of his people. And so he joined the ranks of the Islamic Association football team, not only showcasing his athletic prowess, but also using the platform to spread the message of resistance and resilience. As the first Intifada erupted in the late 1980s, Haniyeh found himself at the center of a grassroots movement that sought to challenge the Israeli occupation. It was during this time that he experienced firsthand the brutalities of the Israeli military, as he was arrested and sentenced to a short prison term by an Israeli military court. But Haniyeh's spirit remained unbroken. He emerged from prison with an even stronger determination to fight. His commitment to the cause caught the attention of the Hamas leadership, and he was detained once again in 1988, this time serving a 6-month sentence. However, this period of imprisonment only served to solidify his resolve further. In 1989, Haniyeh faced his most significant test yet. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but even behind bars, Haniyeh's influence continued to grow. His fellow inmates looked up to him as a symbol of resistance, and his unwavering spirit inspired hope in the hearts of his fellow Palestinians. Following his release in 1992, the Israeli military authorities decided to deport Haniyeh, along with other senior Hamas leaders, to Lebanon. This move was intended to weaken the Hamas movement, but had the opposite effect. In the southern Lebanese town of Marj al-Zahur, Haniyeh and his comrades found themselves in a unique position. The international media turned its attention to Hamas, and the movement gained more exposure. After a year in Lebanon, Haniyeh returned to Gaza, where he was appointed as the dean of the Islamic University. This position allowed him to cement his influence further within Hamas and the broader Palestinian community. Haniyeh's close association with Yassin, a revered figure within Hamas, solidified his position as a key leader. He was appointed to head Yassin's office, becoming the representative of Hamas to the Palestinian Authority. This role allowed Haniyeh to further amplify the voice of Hamas and advocate for the rights of the Palestinian people on a larger scale. During the Second Intifada, Haniyeh's influence within Hamas continued to grow. The Israeli security forces targeted him for his alleged involvement in attacks against Israeli citizens, viewing him as a threat to their national security. In 2003, Haniyeh narrowly escaped an Israeli Air Force bomb attack in Jerusalem. The attack, aimed at eliminating the Hamas leadership, left Haniyeh with a slight injury to his hand. In December 2005, Haniyeh's leadership skills were put to the test when Hamas emerged victorious in the Legislative Council elections. As the head of the Hamas list, Haniyeh was elected to lead the Palestinian government, becoming the prime minister. However, Haniyeh's tenure as prime minister was not without its challenges. The international community responded to Hamas's victory with economic sanctions and boycotts. They seek to isolate the newly elected government. Acting Prime Minister Ehud Olmert of Israel announced that they would withhold an estimated $50 million per month in tax receipts that were collected on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. But Haniyeh remained defiant, refusing to disarm Hamas or recognize Israel. The United States, demanding the the return of $50 million in unexpended foreign aid funds further intensified the pressure on the Palestinian Authority. Haniyeh criticized the West for using its donations as a means to apply pressure on the Palestinian people. In an attempt to ease tensions, Haniyeh reached out to the United States, calling for direct negotiations with the elected government. He offered a long-term truce with Israel, accepting the establishment of a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders. Haniyeh urged an end to the international boycott, arguing that it would only encourage violence and chaos. However, the US government did not respond, maintaining its boycott and further isolating Hamas. Amidst the political turmoil, Haniyeh faced personal challenges as well. In 2006, on the eve of a deal to end factional fighting between Fatah and Hamas, his convoy came under gunfire in Gaza. Although Haniyeh escaped unharmed, one of the cars in his convoy was set on fire. Haniyeh's leadership was tested once again in 2006 when he was denied entry to Gaza from Egypt at the Rafah border crossing. The border was closed by the Israeli Minister of Defense, Amir Peretz. After returning from his first official trip abroad as Prime Minister, Haniyeh was carrying an estimated $30 million in cash intended for Palestinian Authority payments. The incident led to a gun battle between Hamas militants and the Palestinian Presidential Guard, further exacerbating the tensions between Hamas and Fatah. Despite the challenges and attempts on his life, Haniyeh remained resolute. He appealed for Palestinian unity, refusing to identify the alleged perpetrators of the attack and calling for an end to the infighting. Egypt even offered to mediate. In 2017, Haniyeh was elected as the chairman of Hamas's political bureau, replacing Khaled Mashal. With his new position, Haniyeh faced the daunting task of leading Hamas on a global scale. As the chairman of the political bureau, he became the face of the organization, responsible for guiding its policies and strategies. This role required him to navigate the complex dynamics of regional and international politics, all while staying true to the core principles of Hamas. One of the most significant changes accompanying Haniyeh's new role was his relocation from Gaza to Qatar. This raised questions about Haniyeh's ability to lead Hamas from outside the Palestinian territories. However, his decision to relocate was driven by a desire to strengthen Hamas's international presence and engage with key regional players. In Qatar, Haniyeh found a new base of operations, one that provided him with the platform to advocate for the Palestinian cause on a global stage. Saleh al-Aruri, Hamas's number 2. In the late 1980s, Saleh al-Aruri's path intersected with destiny at Hebron University. Al-Aruri's commitment to the cause of Palestinian liberation took root within the halls of this institution. As a young student of Sharia law, al-Aruri was exposed to the ideologies and teachings that would shape his future. He found himself drawn to the principles of Hamas. Al-Aruri's passion for the cause quickly caught the attention of Hamas leaders, who recognized his potential. They saw in him the qualities necessary to inspire and mobilize others in the pursuit of their shared goals. Under the guidance of his mentors, al-Aruri honed his skills in recruitment and education. He became adept at identifying individuals who shared the same enthusiasm for the cause and persuading them to join the ranks of Hamas. Through his persuasive abilities, he was able to expand the organization's influence and strengthen its network of supporters. But al-Aruri's involvement with Hamas went beyond recruitment. He actively participated in organizing protests, demonstrations, and acts of resistance against the Israeli occupation. However, as al-Aruri's influence grew, so did the watchful eyes of Israeli authorities. They saw him as a threat to their national security and made multiple attempts to suppress his activities. Al-Aruri's dedication to Hamas would come at a great personal cost, as he found himself arrested and imprisoned multiple times. Despite the hardships he faced, al-Aruri remained resolute in his beliefs. He saw his time in prison as a badge of honor. His leadership role within Hamas only grew stronger during his time behind bars. He continued to inspire and guide his fellow inmates. After serving a total of 15 years in Israeli prisons for his role in Hamas, Saleh al-Aruri emerged as a symbol of resilience and determination. His release marked a turning point in his life as he embarked on a new chapter filled with challenges and strategic decisions. Deported by Israel, al-Aruri found himself in Damascus, Syria, where he sought refuge and joined Hamas's political bureau. This move proved to be a strategic one, as Damascus provided a safe haven for Hamas leaders and allowed them to operate and plan their activities away from the prying eyes of their adversaries. In the heart of the Syrian capital, al-Aruri immersed himself in the inner workings of Hamas. He played a pivotal role in shaping the organization's strategies, coordinating its military operations, and expanding its influence within Palestinian territories and on the international stage. However, the political landscape in the region was ever-changing. When Khaled Mashal, the former leader of Hamas, left Damascus, al-Aruri faced a critical decision. He chose to relocate to Istanbul, Turkey, where he established his own bureau. This move allowed him to maintain his influence within Hamas and adapt to the evolving dynamics of the region. In Istanbul, al-Aruri continued to to play a central role in Hamas's operations. He utilized his strategic mindset and connections to further the organization's goals. From this new base, he coordinated financial activities, ensuring the flow of funds for Hamas-related activities, including purchasing weapons for attacks. But al-Aruri's involvement extended beyond financial matters. He actively engaged in Hamas's diplomatic activities, attending official meetings as part of Hamas delegations. His presence at these gatherings served to legitimize Hamas's political aspirations and garner support from sympathetic nations. Throughout his time in Istanbul, al-Aruri demonstrated his capabilities as a leader and master strategist. He navigated international politics, leveraging his connections to advance Hamas's agenda. Today, al-Aruri resides in Lebanon, where he continues to exert his influence and contribute to Hamas's activities. Al-Aruri's involvement in Hamas's terrorist networks in the West Bank is particularly alarming. He spearheaded efforts to rejuvenate these networks, breathing new life into Hamas's operations. With his guidance, Hamas operatives carried out a series of deadly attacks, targeting both Israeli civilians and military personnel. The international community has not turned a blind eye to al-Aruri's actions. The United States government in particular has labeled him a high-ranking Hamas military leader and has placed a $5 million bounty on his head. Efforts to apprehend al-Aruri have intensified, with intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies around the world working tirelessly to track his movements. If you enjoyed this video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more videos.